Good, y'all. Yeah. Where did I read that? Bodna. Yeah, it's all good. Had me all hot and bothered this morning when Mike went live. I thought, oh, this must be good. So I tuned in. Did me a little. I got into the groove of trying to figure out what the hell they were talking about. So I scrolled back until I saw those screenshots and I'm like, oh, fuck. I'm like, how is it that we all don't already know that already? How is it this is a surprise? And I'm looking at it and I'm going, what does refer exactly? Why are they saying this person's name and refers to? And I'm like, well, it's already a flawed search in that sense because of the word that was used in the screenshot, refers. No, I don't have anything to do with it. Sent Mike a message in the piece of information and what likely happened. And he took the video down because for the life of me, we should all be able to search and find the same information. And I'm like, well, that's not what's coming up for me in that sense. I'm like, there's something wrong here. It happens. It happens. And everybody should be warned. Don't believe all of the hype when it comes to Google, especially Google's AI. Everybody's is a little bit different, but sometimes it can lead you astray when you're really searching in that sense. You'll notice in those screenshots that there's no information cited and the term refers to. What the fuck is that about? So what it looks like what happened is maybe Anita was doing some research in that sense. And I don't blame anybody. It's just how it goes. Always cite your information. Always fact check your own info when it comes down to it. It's just a learning experience, whatever. It's not the point of it. They were on such fire. They were on the right track today. But he took it down because of obviously their misinterpretation of the flawed screenshot that they got. I can't hold it against them. Nobody can. But because it's pretty convincing when you're sitting there researching and all of a sudden AI pops up some sort of SX related charges and your name, you're like, what? But instead of citing that information and going right where AI sourced it, because but Google AI will prioritize and their algorithm is different in that sense. And it can lead you astray. That's all. Not like it's doing anything wrong necessarily. It's doing what it does. But it seems to be that Google, they have to tier it. They have to tier it, right? Or else they can't charge you for it. They can't give you the greatest version, or else nobody would stand in line to pay out money because of how useful of a tool it is. All right. So just take it as a learning experience. But what I think happened is Anita probably sent Mike the image, and God bless him, it's convincing. But the more you look deeper into it, like follow-up information, it's like you can't find it. Well, something's wrong in that search, and that's the step that wasn't done. They just went live and started talking about it. God bless them. I probably would have too. And it was early in the morning. People are just waking up. Who knows? But he did the right thing anyway. He just took it all down. Hopefully they go live earlier or later because the conversation that they were having was fantastic. It was fantastic. I was into it. Let me just switch over here just a sec, friends. So anyway, we're still carrying the torch, friends. You know, after our last live, by the way, for those of you who have it, put your earbuds in or use your noise canceling earphones this particular live stream, because we're going to be transcribing and doing what I'll call a proper interpretation of what's being said on the phone between Alvin and the caller. By the way, y'all, very important details I want everybody to be aware of, because it came to me the other day, and I don't know why I didn't latch on immediately when you're analyzing it, because you look at things differently sometimes. Anyway, don't want to get sidetracked. It occurred to me in the kerfuffle of a conversation, which is confusing to understand, between Alvin and the caller. All of the indicators and the indicators of deception in his language, you can circle back in having to do with his conversation on the phone in that immediate. He mentioned that he on one hand, he was staunchly denying the tip that was never ever clarified for him to confirm or deny in that sense. But he loves to, in the end, mention how he wasn't born to be a liar, and how this conversation better not come back and bite him, or come back to work against him in that sense. Like, talk about giving yourself away. But anyway, you put on your noise canceling earphones, you can hear more clearly the poor quality of audio of Alvin. And I'm going to go through it with you. And immediately after I hear it, I'm going to say it. We're going to listen to it and focus on it. But why we're doing this, in a roundabout way, I'm going to explain to you right now. Because of how information and what really constitutes evidence in a situation like this. That call is evidence which corroborates an eyewitness account, the tip. Whose tip? Brandon. It's Brandon's account that would contradict the narrative of the suspects. All of this, and by the way, Canada is a one-party state, even though that's an American term. It's the same thing. Only one party needs to consent in all of this. What's illegal is the interception. Like Mike couldn't go and buy a bunch of receivers or any audio to go run surveillance on any of them. That would be illegal. You need to get a warrant in order to do that. So that's where it stands. But my point is all of this is important, because this phone call, even though he denies something that he's not quite clear on, he comes back and Alvin follows up by putting himself at the scene, corroborating the tip. All right? Like it or not, in 3 different parts. He goes on to corroborate the tip, all while telling you that this information that he's sharing with you better not come back and haunt him. Well, that corroboration of the tip, the phone call, Alvin's voice, is all evidence for the RCMP to garner everything they need on what in the US is referred to as probable cause. Reasonable grounds is the term we use in Canada. It would give them reasonable grounds for the RCMP to further look into grave detail all of the individuals that were involved in this little portion of that particular day. And you're goddamn right they're doing that. They would have done that. God knows where they are with their investigation. The investigation. That's not the Jack and Lily Sullivan missing persons. That's I'm talking about, we always talk about the parallel investigation that goes on with all of the fucking parties involved, the suspects. And that's ongoing. So in a roundabout way, it has everything to do with what they were talking about already this morning. And the thing that bonds all of these individuals together. Jack and Lily, all evidence points to the fact that they were being exploited by Daniel and his crew. That includes fuckface booze-nosed Darren Geddes, that fat, dirty slob Kent, maybe Jordan. Chance Lays is in there. Probably that Adam Roy, although we don't know much about him. Why wouldn't he be? Because these assholes surrounded themselves by all individuals who have an affinity for children. And that comes through with their behavior, language. Take a look at the room. Take a look at the situational awareness of it all. Only pedos and chomos act the way that these individuals act. In my opinion, I should add on to that. Not that there's empirical studies on there's one general way that pedos or chomos behave, but I'm talking about in this particular case specifically. They've got chomo, pedo written all over them. There's no other reason for these assholes to be involved in the most serious of situations here. Trying to convince you that it's not as serious as people think it is. What? They're minimizing. Fucking idiots. Good to see you, Esther. Fucking idiots. The good news is, YouTube, we've got a new conglomerate of chomos to analyze every step of the way. That's the good news, because they'll tell you the internet fucking loves to do that. But before we do that, there's going to be all kinds of serious things, because the victims in all of this can't be overlooked. Bonnie, it's just in their culture, I believe, the more we get to know about the McKenzies. They were probably isolated away from the rest of society generations ago, and they developed different. They evolved different. Their culture is a little different. And in a place as small as Nova Scotia, like it is in Appalachia, or any other place where you can side by side have traditional settling grounds where people farm, and then right beside it hills where the less or how should I say, the poorer people at the time, or the not the unpreferred, the people who aren't wealthy enough or don't have the resources to farm the land get pushed off into the hills, and they develop a little bit differently. I believe that's really what the McKenzies and their bond of silence. They want to keep their business to themselves because it's just in their nature. But that's just my opinion. Hold on, my friends. I wonder, on a side note, I wonder if Anita, earlier today, there's a famous YouTube channel that did a 15-minute video on the primary problem in the Goler clan from Nova Scotia. And that small 15-minute videos, I recommend you guys go watch it if you haven't already. But it talks about it in detail. And that I was just watching that when Mike and Anita went live. And I thought, fuck, I wonder if she was all worked up watching the same thing. But anyway. Is that why they're called hillbillies? No. Not directly, Annie. Are you okay? Who are you talking about? Anyway, we won't get distracted with that. Aaron, insects, I don't know anything about insects. LOL, start the sound like White Rock all over again. I don't know what you're talking about, insects. Yeah, well, we're going to break that code of silence, Mayflower. This is needs to be talked about. I don't know why Mike gets all flustered. He doesn't like talking about it at all. Not that anybody does necessarily, but I think it maybe, well, he says it comes from the YouTube algorithm and having to dance around it. Fuck, you get good at that, man. So you got to adopt some new terms for yourself that everybody knows. Chomo, pedo, PDF file people use. But you can also explain it in legal terms, and the algorithm isn't going to do anything to you. They're not going to shut you down or kick you off for talking about the subject at all. And sometimes you just got to say, fuck it. Go in and edit it later. Okay. If that's what the problem is, don't ever let it stop you from talking about what it is you need to talk about, especially when you're live anyway. But Mike gets triggered. He just finds it difficult to talk about the topic, which needs to get over. We're going to have to walk you through this. Yeah, you go paint, Amy. What color? So there's a few things I want to cover today. Thinking about how I want to start this. Let me see. So in case it comes up in the future, I posted this 3 hours ago after I couldn't find any information. And you'll notice if you go and look, there's a link that follows it. And it was probably not hit. But, when that pops up on your screen, you can't blame the person for thinking, fuck, I found something. But again, we couldn't find anything. The image appears to show a Google AI generated or summarized snippet that incorrectly attached the name Chance to the July 2026 Nelson case. This kind of name mix-up can occur in automated overviews. And that's exactly what always pops up to you when you sign into Google. Official RCMP reporting and local news from Saltwire, the News, CTV, Atlantic, etc. consistently identified the charged individual as Stephen Frederick Nelson. First, I thought the fact that you're even having to sort this out is a flaw with Google. Like, fuck off. Like, how is it you can't fact check before you pump it down the fucking line to the person? Like, what the hell? Anyway, in case you're confused, but it's all good. They'd say he was remanded into custody following his arrest and subsequent court. But what stands out to everybody is the 2 counts of possession of child SA and exploitation material, CSAM, transmitting child SA and exploitation material, unlicensed possession of a firearm. So, poor guy, poor Chance. He's still a fucking chomo, dude. Take a look at you. Fucking pussy. But he does have a raft of older crimes. I'm like, well, fuck, how come we haven't been talking about Chance's court appearance? I guess it's possible that we didn't, it made it through. But anyway, just to close off what we were talking about to begin with, it's just a name mix-up on Google's part. So I would assume that that's why Mike made that live private, to finalize that off. Now, let me read you a definition before we start off. There's roughly an 8 minute and 55. Oh, before we do that, I wanted to touch on something. That's what this is. It kinds of all blends into each other anyway. So lately, maybe you've noticed, maybe you haven't, but there's all kinds of people wanting to fact check, we'll call it with parentheses, fact check information that's coming across or coming out and people are talking about, with people like that fucking idiot Shannon Ramsey Hoyt and their extended goof circle with Cheryl and the rest of them. And of course, anything damning or anything that's going to work against them, Malaya would certainly deny. You know, of course, it's layered and you can never talk directly to her. She's hidden out. But she has, at this point in time, developed a pattern. Okay? And it's the pattern of, even with snapshots, even in this little clip that I'm about to show you, is Haley Ferdinand identifying the pattern way back when, months and months ago, almost a year ago. And it fits so well today. Even, you know, what blows my mind, and it shows you just how immature and stupid she is. Maybe you can identify it or help me out there. I don't remember where the screenshot was. I believe it was from a conversation from Belinda. Remember back in the early days when everybody would focus on whatever text message or screenshot that they could get from communications with the suspects? Well, one screenshot in particular stood out because Malaya was saying to people about Daniel out here lying. Malaya said, but it's not illegal to lie to the public. End quote. Well, honey, in isolation, in theory, no, it's not. But when you're in a situation where you have, in my opinion, falsely called into emergency services and reported your kids as abducted, even though it's come out and it wasn't directly, it means or that's where it was headed because you didn't have any better answers for them at the time, honey. All of this is evidence that will work against you in the court of law. Really, that statement was an embedded admission to you acknowledging the fact that people are out there lying on your behalf in that sense. There's only one reason for that in an investigative sense. Fuck faces. And your stupid ass wants to suggest that it's not illegal to lie to the public? Well, who cares if it's legal or illegal in the moment? You're still lying to the public considering the circumstances that you're in there, Mrs. Narrow Mind. Also, what you're doing is corroborating everybody's suspicions in the moment. Most importantly, the investigators. You done fucked up, hon.
Restored some hope that, going into the new year that we may have restored some hope. So okay. That leads us to ask.
This is from Hayden talking to Sonny Austin.
That they are no longer alive. She says grief and what have you. She doesn't want to go into further detail.
That's not the interesting part, though.
I was told this, the time that was told to me was around 4 a.m. So, and this is a statement that Malaya has also told somebody, and then she's like, no, I didn't say that.
You hear that? You hear what Haley said there? Yeah, baby. Haley, we noticed. This is a reoccurring theme with Malaya. That's a pattern that we've all picked up on, considering she's not even said a word in public. You can already pick up the patterns.
Also told somebody, and then she's like, no, I didn't say that. But
so think about that pattern in context with the information that we know with the inappropriate bus driver and his brother. and the sleepovers. Apparently, like they were on a conversation today over on Mike and Anita's about how it's more consistent because it's not just the bus driver in which they were taking the kids for all of these sleepovers. Well, that doesn't sound very isolated to me, does it? If they're out socializing, but that's just a picture that you imagine in your mind. No. These sleepovers have more to do in common with being exploited, unfortunately, as sexual exploitation, which would eventually result in content that they could further capitalize on.
It came from somebody, and then she's like, no, I didn't say that. But it came from a really reliable person that she firsthand told it to, and that person told me.
Just to ask you personally, just from the information you've heard and I've heard, do you believe that Daniel was doing meth that night?
From what I was told from Malaya at the end of the driveway there.
Does a bear shit in the woods? Does a bear shit in the woods, Jordan?
He broke down and started talking about that. Then, yeah, the dots all connected, and with the bathroom scenario there, yeah. And started talking about that. Then, yeah, the dots all connected, and
Hold on.
when I was told this, the time that was told to me was around 4 a.m. So, and this is a statement that Malaya has also told somebody, and then she's like, no, I didn't say that. But it came from a really reliable person that she firsthand told it to, and that person told me.
Just to ask you personally, just from the information you've heard and I've heard, do you believe that Daniel was doing meth that night?
From what I was told from Malaya at the end of the driveway there, when she broke down and started talking about that, then yeah, the dots all connected, and with the
So Haley Ferdinand is telling us that Malaya broke down in the driveway and started telling her that, and I would assume Cindy was there as well. And that kind of goes along the lines of what Wade Paris was talking about in his interview with we'll call it an interview with Tint. Ditzy Blonde. You shouldn't have, darling. I appreciate that very much. Thank you. So right there, I would think that Wade and Haley are referring to the same point in time, the same incident, the same situation. But Janie, that differs from your account. I can't wait to see the body cam footage of that. Fucking guys.
talking about that, then yeah, the dots all connected, and with the bathroom scenario there, yeah, I strongly believe that. What's going on? Daniel was driving Malaya's white Nissan Pathfinder. I believe hers is like a 2016, 2017. So it looks a lot different than the brand new ones, of course. But that's all I've seen him drive. And then, well,
the silent vehicle.
It did confirm that there was a guy that came there the day of the search that was apparently searching with Daniel at some point too. And that said person, I'd have to find his name again, but Malaya did say that was the guy who was getting killed off of. Now, I don't want that to go anywhere. I will grab the guy's name for you. I have it back on that.
Well, we know, and Sunny is going to mention their name right now.
Just between somebody, maybe even Malaya, I forget. But she did confirm that one of the guys that was searching with Daniel was a dealer that he was getting stuff from. So,
yeah. So, when you're talking about things that Malaya has said, especially in reference to sleepovers and such, that's already out there. You can't put that genie back in the bottle. You've been pushing this since the beginning. It's coming from the family in that sense. The kids were close to the neighbor. They would spend time over there. So you don't believe all of the fucking garbage that comes by way of that group of clowns. They're also child exploiters. Now, tie that into this phone call. So let's start this phone call, y'all. Now, before I do, hold on now. You know what? Take an 8-minute break and we're going to let the damn thing play right through because I'm thinking about the people who are going to be listening in the future. Now's the time, all right, for everybody to put their noise canceling headphones on or your earbuds. And I'm going to let it play right through. And then we're going to come back and talk about each portion of it. And because the reason I'm doing that because I need to read a few things, some definitions as we dissect what it is that Alvin's saying in all of this. No, Esther, don't even do that to me. Oh, vive la France, by the way. This is what people should be talking about in this particular case. It's going to be tough. It's going to get even tougher. But it's only tough in your own mind because of whatever's bothering you. Maybe you're triggered about your own experiences. Maybe it's just something. Well, what did you think was going to happen? We're talking about the worst case scenario in this instance. Why else do people need to band together and force down a bullshit story when their kids go missing? There's only a certain handful of reasons. Usually they're a portion of several of them all at once. It's a variation of a handful of 7 or 8 different reasons that this happens, and it all points back to the parents having brought harm to them. So deal with it.
Case of Jack and Lily, and we did have a tip come in that you had seen the driver in the morning of 10:45.
Okay.
So the only thing, sir, that I was trying to clear up was that somebody had given us a tip. I'm just following up, trying to find out whether or not this tip is accurate, stating that you were on Lansdowne Road.
At what time?
The tip says between 10:30 a.m. and 11 a.m.
Okay, I'm going to see. I don't know if you're affected or not, to be honest with you.
Okay, sir, would you feel more comfortable calling into Crime Stoppers than leaving it there?
I'd like to know who gave you the tip.
Well, I don't even know myself, sir. They come in anonymously online.
I wish I know. No, I'm not. I can't know. You're not a reporter. You better swear that you're not a reporter.
I promise you, sir, I am not a reporter.
You want one of those shenanigans.
No, I do not have shenanigans.
Because the other night, I was laying on the phone and someone messaged me wanting to know the same friggin' BS that, you know what I mean?
And were they an officer?
I don't know who it was. I just looked at it. It was somebody named that start with D, and I just blocked them. I didn't want to bother with the BS at all.
Okay.
I just blocked it. If you wanted information, you let Darren, what do you call him, Darren Gannis?
Okay.
Darren Gannis gave me my name, gave him his name or something. You know where old Jack was? He's all over the shenanigans, every
Sir, I don't know. I honestly don't know what you mean by shenanigans.
This better not be one of those prank calls because, well, what I'm going to tell you right now, that's BS. There was no way I was up that road at whatever time you told me. Hello?
I'm listening, sir.
What time did you say?
I have here that it happened between 10:30 a.m. and 11 a.m.
That was bull. D-U-L-L. There's no way I was up there. At 10:30 that morning, I seen you Mounties down at my sister's place. I drove up the road. I was up there for a few minutes. I come back down, and I went in there. You could check with Constable Mason. Constable Mason was there, and me and my brother Ron stood there till we were allowed in the woods. And I was in the woods by whatever, 11, but an hour later. But there's no way. I've never seen no blanket, no treaty at 10:30 in the morning.
No, it wasn't a tree, or I'm sorry, it doesn't say here in the tip that it has to do with a blanket. It says that you were in a silver vehicle and you were pulled alongside with another vehicle.
That's bull.
Okay. Would you be willing to swear to a statement?
There's no way. Pardon?
I said, would you be willing to swear to a statement?
I swear to God that I was not. I go right up to my brother Ron. He told Anthony, and another cop up in Halifax there that I already gave my statement to him.
Okay. Okay, well, I will just submit this tip then, as I've clarified with you, and if they have any further questions, I'm sure they'll just follow up.
It was around 3:30 in the afternoon that I seen a couple of vehicles on the side of the road, and I stopped and asked Cindy Ward what was going on. In this black Honda Civic around 3:30 in the afternoon, because I was heading up to Brother Ron's there that afternoon, and I had to go up, went up there to take the coolness off me because looking for the kids all that morning. Went to Brother Ron there and had to go and pick up the weight there at 5 o'clock down the stretch. There was no way I was up there at 10:30 that morning talking to no vehicle on the side of the road. Whoever told you that must have been Cindy Ward or somebody else. There's no way I stopped.
Okay,
There's no other vehicle on the road that morning. I went up to my brother Ron.
now you said something about a black Honda Civic?
Yeah, it was, what the hell? It was, Malaya's stepbrother.
Okay, I'm not sure. Is there a name?
Hayden or Hayden? Hayden, isn't it? Hayden, I think his name is.
Oh.
There's two girls in the car.
Did you?
Better not, like I said, I'll give you this information. This better not come back on me. Like I said, I already gave them my report that day.
Okay, no, that's fair. That's fair.
Before Christmas or after Christmas, they called me. It was before Christmas that I forget his name now, Dan from Halifax, I think his name was Dan. Halifax, he called me.
Okay.
But there's no way, I'm telling you, right now, my dogs.
Okay, and that would be Lansdowne Station?
Nobody, I'm not wrong. Whoever gave you that information, that was Paul.
Okay.
It was Cindy Ward, I like to press charges against her, and she's the one that's dragging my friggin' name through the...
Well, I'm very sorry to hear that, sir. My job is just to clear up the tips, that's all.
It was 7 months. 7 months since those kids were mentioned that my name was all over the friggin', what do you call it, Facebook. I want to just be left alone.
Okay.
I just want to be left alone. I didn't even it's mad at me, to be honest with you. The first time I those kids, to be honest with you, man, it's the day I went down with my brother Mark and I was to search for them. That's the first time. Now my sister's his wife, because I said there's 3 Mountie guards down there. So Ron was going to take my mother in town that morning. He said, do you mind, Mom, if I go down and see what's going on? So me and Ron, I took the great car down, my wife's Honda Civic, and Ron took his truck down, and we down there and we found out the kids went missing. So we were allowed to. Okay.
Seen the
Yeah, that was in totality. You can go over and find that on another channel that's associated with other people. Can't remember which channel it is. You guys know already. So yeah, is that Meep? Let's show you quickly. It's one and the same person, Meep. Janie, that is Janie's brother. And Alvin would be brother to Ron. They're talking about the same person. But anyway, I hope you're clear. Let me just turn this slideshow off for a second. So, just a reminder of where we're talking about geographically. He's adamant, Ron is adamant, Alvin is adamant that he didn't. And the tip is absolute BULL. It's bullshit. Meanwhile, he goes out to tell you what exactly he did that morning and stopped by Ron's, which is on your screen, which is just down between, well, the road that you would have to go up to Gairloch Road to go to Janie's. You're placing yourself at the scene at that approximate time. That's a corroboration of a story. That's a corroboration of this account from key witness, eyewitness Brandon, that would be reasonable grounds, probable cause. That's a lead. That's a genuine, bona fide, awesome lead that people out there need to be excited about and remind themselves and focus on as to where you need to be looking and thinking when it comes to what happened to Jack and Lily, for example, to speak in generalities. Anyway, let me read you this, the meat of this. Like a letter from the Zodiac. Let's see. Brendan. So I'll pick it up here. For context, I'm not a neighbor, family, friend of either party, a member of PBMH, or affiliated with any official search organizations. However, I served approximately 10 years in the Canadian Armed Forces as a combat engineer. Search operations were a significant part of my training and experience. By the way, I was reading all about, did you guys read about the bullshit with the psyops and the wolves and this story that's going out in the mainstream about them botching up and issuing a letter that shouldn't have been made public in that sense? Anybody else? Anyway. I'll skip through that. I'll go into the meat of this so we can jump up back to Alvin. As I traveled through the area, I observed a bright pink child's t-shirt hanging in a tree near Earl Martell's property. A four-wheeling trail just past his home on the right-hand side. That goes up the hill. And near the pipeline area on Lansdowne Road. To be clear, this was on Lansdowne Road, not Lansdowne Station Road. What stood out to me was the condition of the shirt. It appeared clean and was not muddy. It wasn't muddy, wet, or dirty despite the weather and ground conditions. I also did not observe children's footprints beneath it or any obvious trail leading to or from the location. I also observed Emily Ogley emerge from a wooded area at a rapid pace. She was not casually walking. She came out of the woods quickly, moved through the ditch, and entered the rear seat of a vehicle. My attention was primarily focused on Alvin McKenzie, who was nearby. My interaction with Alvin was brief. After leaving that area and traveling toward where the helicopter had landed, I later observed the same dark wine-colored four-door vehicle parked along the roadside. As I approached, Emily appeared interested in speaking. I pulled alongside the vehicle and rolled down my window. She asked whether I was police, which was the same question Alvin had asked me earlier. I advised her that I was not, and that I was simply there to help search for the children. I then asked what they were doing in the area. Emily stated that they were family from Truro and were looking for the children. I wished them luck and continued on my way. Shortly afterward, I observed the vehicle turn right onto Stewiacke Road and headed seemingly back towards Truro. I also took note of how both Emily and Alvin were dressed. Emily was wearing jeans, running shoes, and a tank top with thin shoulder straps. Alvin was wearing a t-shirt, jeans, and sneakers. Anyone present that day knows the weather was damp, cold, and muddy. Their clothing stood out to me because it did not appear consistent with what most searchers were wearing under those conditions, or any experienced searcher or woodsman for that matter. This was a rapid response last minute to aid in the cover-up and plant evidence from both families, in his opinion. After orienting myself in the area and speaking with law enforcement, I returned home to collect additional equipment, including rain gear and my ATV. I then returned and participated in search efforts that ultimately continued for several months, extending into November. So let's be clear before we get started. And now, listening to this several times, friends, I can sum it up before we go back and formally do this. So we've all heard Alvin straight up deny whatever the caller was saying the tip was. And she says that he was on Lansdowne Road between the time of 10:30 and 11, or approximately 10:45 in the beginning. And he says that's utter nonsense. He says that's utter nonsense, and he wasn't even in the area. Wasn't even in the area. And then he goes on to tell you and identify what it is that he was doing. Alvin lives here, right beside Brian and Alicia Ward. Actually, I got a bit of a side question now that we're on to it. Putting it out there for all the great minds to think of. Cindy Ward, that's where we got the name, not got the name because her name was been mentioned before, but I wonder who Cindy Ward is that Alvin's referring to in this phone call. Because the bus driver's wife's name is Alicia, I understand. But the Cindy Ward, her name has been brought up in all of this. Maybe they're all a part of the same circle of exploiters. But it's just a curiosity right now. Hold on. Let me continue on. So Alvin, after telling everybody that whatever time or the tip is absolute bullshit, he goes on to tell you that he was down here at his brother Ron McKenzie's on the same road as the tip was. Meaning, yeah, he was in the area at that time. Now it goes beyond that with this particular car. He goes on to identify all of the all of the individual identifying factors in Brendan eyewitness account, the color of the cars, the types of cars, who was there. Let's remember all of this that Brendan is talking about, the placement where it happened is right here on this corner. That's on your screen right now, approximately. Not approximately, thank God we've gone down and had a close look at it. And we may as well do that right here. Just let me get down there. And this is at the end, and it makes so much, it fits so well, and I'll show you why in a second, just on a side note. This is the road he's talking about up the hill. Let me go back a little bit. Yeah, this corner, right roughly in here, is where he saw Emily Ogley come running out of the bush at. Now, on a bit of a side note of public interest, I found it interesting, and it was mentioned that Brendan came back at a later time and noticed that the tree that they found the evidence on was cut down and gone from this corner. So it's only one road. This is the road. He identified himself on being there, because you just don't go from being one side of it to Ron's place without crossing this area at some point in time, in that small time frame, in that window. Therefore, yes, he placed himself in the area at that point in time, even though he's denying it wholeheartedly. And what he's denying is that there was no blanket and no tree as well. He's absolutely denying it, even though nobody had even brought it up, as though he was anticipating the question already, based on maybe it was questions. He says, what did he say? Dan from Halifax. Are you sure it's not Dylan? But it fits with the officer, the constable's name that people talk to in the background, Dylan. D and N. He couldn't remember his name specifically, but so many things fit and line up in all of this. So, again, take a look at where we are. 500 meters or so, not 500 meters, a couple hundred meters up at the top of the hill. This area back in here was where they claimed to have magically found or reported this other random footprint out in the mud. Like, why would that stand out to you at that point in time? Such a bizarre thing to want to submit as evidence to begin with. But if you spin this around, you know, this little part back in here, this is a worn trail. You can see it. Let me see if you can see it. I got it lined up. Yeah, you can see it. You see where it says Alvin, Emily, Hayden, driver, pink shirt, silver Civic, other, right there. That's where Emily was spotted running out of the bush by Brandon at 10:48, and he briefly talked to Alvin. Right across the road, right there, is an access. Immediately across the tracks up into the bush, you can see the trail that's worn, because it's used often. It's used often enough to get from one point to the other in the background. It lines up with the trail that leads right over to Gairloch Road residence, Janie's old palace, the chicken coop, the farm. You get access by that 4x4 trail on the side that Janie says she ran all the way up to the top on, and met Daniel up there already in the back. Why would he fucking be back there? 17 minutes, son. 17 minutes, and you're all over Hell's Half Acre looking at specific things that you want to submit to evidence. Alvin was talking about a blanket in a tree, even though it was probably a topic I would expect of the RCMP, because at that point in time, before Christmas or around there, they were sorting through and doing some questioning about that specific piece of evidence. Two and a half clicks on a road, maybe. As the crow flies. 2 kilometers. 2.5 kilometers as a crow flies. But the key to all of this is he's in staunch denial of even being on the road if you listen in the beginning. But Ron McKenzie, I want to make sure you know where Ron McKenzie is because he references it. Ron McKenzie lives on that road. Just a few hundred meters up from where Brandon placed him. I would call that in the vicinity, even though he's in staunch denial. He's in denial mode. But no matter what, you would have to get from Ron's place over to Gairloch Road because he wants... Alvin's talking about being there right at 10:30. Well, that's awfully close because the cops say they arrived at 10:27 and you're already there now. Something's up with this whole circus of freaks. Alvin, you're not looking very honest, but yet you leak like crazy. So it's a bit of a conundrum. Alvin cracks me up. Like he wants, in my mind, he wants to talk so bad. But their culture is to keep things from outsiders in that sense. And that means anybody outside of their immediate fam. The Happy Hills Club, the Happy Hands Club here. Let's go back. Oh, where is that clip? Oh, it's in the back. Hold on, my friends. Get spun back around. All right, here we go.
And we did have a tip come in that you had seen the driver in the morning of 10:45.
Okay.
So the only thing, sir, that I was trying to clear up was that somebody had given us a tip. I'm just following up trying to find out whether or not this tip is accurate, stating that you were on Lansdowne Road.
At what time?
The tip says between 10:30 a.m. and 11 a.m.
Okay, I'm going to see.
Says, okay, I'm going to say a long hesitation.
I don't know if you're an investigator or not, to be honest with you.
I don't know if you're an investigator or not, to be honest with you.
Okay, sir, would you feel more comfortable calling into Crime Stoppers than leaving it there?
I'd like to know who gave you the tip.
I'd like to know who gave you the tip. Well, I bet you would. I bet you'd like that, wouldn't you, Alvin? Oh, shit. But he still goes on to leak like crazy. You got him trapped. You've mind fucked him. You called him and you mind fucked him. I'd like to know who gave you the tip. Well, what tip? You haven't even heard what the tip is yet, hon. Alvin. Are you worried about something?
Well, I don't even know myself, sir. They come in anonymously online.
I don't feel it. No, I don't feel it. I wish I know. No, I'm not.
That's what they call in forensic psychology stumbling over your words, and everywhere else for that matter. Maybe it was the question that threw him off, but he was obviously stumbling over his words incoherently there. With an ultimate no. As in, I would expect, no, I don't want to submit this to Crime Stoppers. He's occupied, his resources, his intellectual resources are occupied in trying to figure out what all this is about. Oh, shit. I mean, it happens. It happens. Good time for a call. Fuck, he is all worked up. You're not a reporter. You better swear you're not a reporter. Or what? See, he's giving his way this protectiveness, this culture of keeping information withheld. He's got all kinds of information. You know it. Of course he does. Look at what really he's been caught in. He is fucking nervous. You better swear you're not a reporter. Or what? Let me remind Alvin that in a case like Jack and Lily's, every one of you individuals in their lives were a mandatory reporter. Well, I have to give Alvin some slack if what he says is correct, though, because he'd never seen Jack and Lily. He doesn't go around there often, so he says. But, I mean, what do you do?
I promise you, sir, I am not a reporter. No, I do not have shenanigans.
Because the other night, I was laying on the phone and someone messaged me wanting to know the same friggin' BS that...
So he mentioned shenanigans. Let me go back quickly. There's some incoherent over-talking in the background, but he says something about you better not be a reporter. You better not be shenanigans. He's already had somebody to try contacting him, talking about the exact same thing that she is on the phone. Somebody with the, hey, Johnny Freak Boy, with the first letter of their name being D. Daleen is the first name that came to my mind. Oh, I wonder why. But this is what he's saying.
Want to know the same friggin' BS that... The other night, I was laying on the phone and someone messaged me wanting to know the same friggin' BS that... You know what I mean?
And were they an officer?
I don't know who it was. I just looked at it. It was someone by name that started with D, and I just blocked them. I didn't want to bother with the BS at all.
Yeah, somebody contacted him the other day. He was laying out trying to relax. Somebody contacted him wanting to know the exact same thing. Somebody with the name starting first letter D. But he just blocked them. Well, that kind of explains why we're in this phone call then. Yeah, exactly. You know, it escalated to this. Well, they wanted the information. You didn't want to talk, so they figured they'd just call you. You blocked them. Anyway, side note. So interesting. Now.
Okay.
Blocked it. They wanted information is let air
I just blocked them. They wanted information because of this here, what do you call him, Darren Geddes? Yeah, Booze Nose. We know what you're talking about, Alvin. That Booze Nose Chomo.
They wanted information is like Darren, what do you call him, Darren Geddes?
Okay.
Darren Geddes gave me my name, gave him his name or something.
Because Darren Geddes gave them your name, gave them Alvin's name. So Darren Geddes gave the caller with the first name Daleen, Alvin's name allegedly. Or maybe that's just a line that they like to use. We'll just blame it all on that fucking idiot.
You know what old Dagwood, he's all over the shenanigans.
You know that damn old Dagwood? Dagwood, you remember, isn't Dagwood from like that cartoon Blondie? Oh, that's a good cartoon. Blondie, she's fine. Anyway. This Darren Geddes is associated with this freak shenanigans. And this Darren Geddes walking around pretending that they're detectives, according to Alvin.
My name, gave him his name or something. You know what old Dagwood, he's all over the shenanigans everywhere. He thinks he's a detective.
Sir, I don't know. I honestly don't know what you mean by shenanigans.
This better not,
What does that tell you? You know what that tells me immediately? That old Alvin probably watches YouTube all the time, you know, and he's referring to somebody's YouTube handle, someone's YouTube channel in that sense. We know who he's referring to, but he's portraying it as though he's a participant. He's a viewer. Oh, now you know, definitely he's got something to hide. Shit. This Dagwood. Yep. We know who you're talking about, man. This better not be one of those prank calls because... Well, have you ever thought about, like, maybe shutting your fucking mouth, Alvin? Have you ever thought about just hanging up the phone and going on about your day? Why are you trying to put this back on the caller or put this, deflect this responsibility of you sharing information on the phone away? You're in control of yourself. Can you not just turn the tap off? This better not be one of those prank calls. Well, man, oh man. It's the second time he's pulled that.
Sir, I don't know. I honestly don't know what you mean by shenanigans.
This better not be one of those prank calls because... Well, I'm going to tell you right now that BS.
So he goes from, this better not be one of those prank calls. But I'll tell you, whatever your tip is it's BS. But my point to you here, friends, is it's not. Because he proceeds to explain himself being in the area, i.e. corroborating the eyewitness's account that morning. To be general about it. Well, to be straight about it. And that's good enough for reasonable grounds for the investigators to do whatever they need to do. That's a piece of it. There was no way I was up that road at whatever time you told me. I mean, there's only 2 to 3 roads in this particular little problem. The one in front of your house, Alvin, Lansdowne Road, and the one that Janie's house is on. You had to go through the only goddamn road and the quickest way to get there. And you were already there at your brother Ron's. Let's go. Don't stop now. Let's continue.
There was no way I was up that road at whatever time you told me. Hello?
I'm listening, sir.
He says, hello? Hello?
What time did you say?
What time did you say? Yeah. Volunteer so he can deny it again. Could you? You're absolutely right, Johnny Freak Boy. He already knows that Brandon talked to him there during those times, LOL. He knows who the tip came from. Playing dumb. Absolutely. And you can catch him several times throughout all of this. But hello, by the way.
Hello?
I'm
Hello.
listening, sir.
What time did you say?
I have here that it happened between 10:30 a.m. and 11 a.m.
That was bull.
That's bull.
D-U-L-L.
B-U-L-L.
No way I was up there.
There was no way I was up there. He's taken enough time to think about this. Good to see you, Sweet Tea. He's taken time to think about this. You can hear it. You can hear it in his voice. So he's so worried about her being a reporter. He's worried somehow about Darren Geddes and shenanigans. Old Darren is interfering from his perspective somehow, or else he wouldn't have been brought up. Trying to get at Alvin, trying to groom him into recollecting some false memories, perhaps, for the public. Maybe he's over there touching tips. Maybe they're over there making out, having a romantic evening.
At 10:30 that morning, I seen you Mounties down at my sister's place.
He says at 10:30 that morning, meaning May 2nd, he's seen 3 Mounties down at my sister's place. Well, already there's a bit of a problem here, isn't there, friends? How could you not be in the area if at 10:30 you were already seeing the officers at your sister's place? You already were well in the know. That's pretty quick. Boy, that's fast, Alvin. And you were right there. Well, you live right there, but you're still 3 kilometers away. How is it that you're not in the area of Lansdowne Road? Even if you were standing in Janie's driveway, Alvin, you're in the area at that point in time, like it or not. He's just pre-programmed to deny. But he's not very good at lying, and he doesn't like to lie. You can hear him.
I drove up the road. My brother, I was up there for a few minutes. I come back down, and I went in there. He was checked with Constable Mason. Constable Mason was there. I was up there. Hello?
I'm listening, sir.
What time did you say?
I have here that it happened between 10:30 a.m. and 11 a.m.
That was bull. D-U-L-L. There's no way I was up there. At 10:30 that morning, I seen you Mounties down at my sister's place. I drove up the road. My brother, I was up there for a few minutes. I come back down.
There you have it right there. He's placing himself at Janie's at 10:30. And then he came back down, meaning he came back down past that point, back to his brother Ron's place, either to it or past it, back to his own house for whatever reason, which is right there. Dude, he's describing being in the area. He's on the scene. Corroborated, even though it comes with a denial. He doesn't even know what he's denying yet. And when you tell him, he denies it harder. No way. And then he goes, and it's how the information in this phone call is revealed to the caller, who obviously is in a position to know what it is that he's going to say. And he goes and leaks about the blanket in the tree, even though it hadn't been brought up in the particular conversation, leaking his knowledge about his suspicions of the tip and its source.
As I went in there, he was checked with confirmation. Confirmation was there, and me and my brother Ron stood there till we were out in the woods. I was in the woods by whatever, 11, an hour later. But there's no way. I've never seen no blanket, no treaty at 10:30 in the morning.
There's no way. There was no blanket and no tree at 10:30 in the morning. Nobody's saying that there was, including what was cited was a pink t-shirt, not a pink blanket. The pink blanket somehow got introduced, which, by the way, Brandon was an eyewitness to, of, in my opinion, gaslighting Haley in order to find the blanket hanging in that tree at that exact same spot later on that afternoon, as though they found some sort of relevant evidence. You know, and Haley, she has been skeptical, and she was skeptical even that day. Things were standing out to her as odd, and even in her own words, she was able to connect all of the dots in the driveway before the big blow up, before Janie snapped. She saw how sketchy, and it just had a lot more to do than just fuckface Daniel's behavior. Had everything to do with who came and picked her up and brought her to that particular scene. And why would she all of a sudden magically come across a piece of evidence if there wasn't an effort to gaslight their immediate family and all of this and beyond? And the RCMP and the public, for that matter. That gaslighting has never stopped.
No, it wasn't
More patterns.
It wasn't.
But there's no way. I've never seen no blanket, no treaty at 10:30 in the morning.
No, it wasn't a tree, it doesn't say here in the tip that it has to do with a blanket. It says that you were in a silver vehicle and you were pulled alongside with another vehicle.
That's bull.
It's a clever little portion of the conversation, in my opinion. Think about how bad that leak was. Think about all of this shit that this guy's holding back. He comes up and starts, and he volunteers that there was no blanket, no tree at no whatever time. He's insinuating that he already knows the tip to the girl, and she goes on to correct him anyway. Oh, fuck. Oh. Just a wealth of information, this guy. God damn it, man. Alvin. Someday you're going to be in a position to bury the guilty parties in all of this. You can somewhat understand maybe where their anger is coming from when it comes to Daniel. Like, it's not a new thing. They're all pissed off and upset at Daniel for him being, well, according to Alvin, a conniving little something or other. I wonder all of the stories. He sounds like he's got a bunch of stories or some details.
Okay. Would you be willing to swear to a statement?
No way. What?
I said, would you be willing to swear to a statement?
I swear to God that I was not. I go right up to my brother Ron.
So right there, he says, he swears to God, I drove right up to my brother Ron's. You swear to God. You see, it's confusing. He's confused. He's projecting that confusion onto all of us, especially with this utter denial, because you say, okay, he's just utterly denying everything. You're forced to take that. But when he goes on to express and explain all of these, he places himself in the area at that point in time. But he's so staunchly denying what? Is it just simply there being a blanket in the tree at 10:30 as though he would be in a position to notice it in the first place? What would make you think it would have stood out to you? Would you have noticed it in the first place? How can you deny it was even there to begin with? Probably because you've got a hand in planting and destroying evidence.
I go right up to my brother Ron. He told Anthony, and another cop up in Halifax there that I already gave my statement to him.
He's talking about, he's complaining about talking about things because he already gave his statement to that policeman up in Halifax. He's pissed off. He already gave his statement. He doesn't appreciate you probing him. He doesn't appreciate. See, it tells you that there's a rehearsed script. They're not fucking happy deviating from it. They don't want to add any details. This is what I said, and there shouldn't be any reason to further ask any questions.
Okay.
I already gave my statement to him.
Okay.
The cop up in Halifax there that I already gave my statement to him.
Okay. Okay, well, I will just submit this tip then, as I've clarified with you, and if they have any further questions, I'm sure they'll just follow up.
It was around 3:30 in the afternoon that I seen a couple of vehicles on the side of the road.
So he goes on to explain it wasn't till 3:30 in the afternoon until I saw or noticed any vehicles on the side of the road. Then he goes on to describe, telling me his memory is sharp enough to remember a vehicle color. He goes on to describe exactly the finding of the blanket that was in the tree, which Brendan was a witness to. I also took note of how both Emily and Alvin were dressed. Emily was wearing jeans, running shoes, and a tank top with thin shoulder straps. Alvin was wearing a t-shirt, jeans, and sneakers. Anyone present that day knows the weather was damp, cold, and muddy. Their clothing stood out to me because it did not appear consistent with what most searchers were wearing under those conditions, or any experienced searcher or woodsman for that matter. Brendan says this was a rapid response last minute to aid in the cover-up and planting of evidence from both families. After orienting myself in the area and speaking with law enforcement, I returned home to collect additional equipment, including rain gear and my ATV. I then returned and participated in search efforts that ultimately continued for several months, extending into November. Following the initial days of searching, I expanded my efforts beyond the immediate search area and followed up on numerous tips provided by members of the public. Those included locations such as Lairg Cemetery Road, the Lairg Road area near Gairloch Brooks Falls, and several other sites brought to my attention. Be easy on my eyes. Throughout this period, I maintained communication with members of NENMCU regarding information and observations that I believed were relevant. While I'm not a police officer and I do not work in law enforcement, we share the same objective, finding answers regarding what happened to these children. Based on my observations that day, I developed concerns regarding the circumstances surrounding the pink shirt and the behavior of certain individuals present in the area. Those concerns were reported to police as part of my statement. I recognize that others may disagree with my conclusions. However, everything I have consistently reported is based on what I personally observed on May 2nd, 2025. My interest has always remained the same, helping locate the children and assisting in any way possible. I understand over time this story develops and changes due to it spreading rapidly online, as things always do. Unless this comes from me directly, do not listen. There are folks out there intentionally putting their spin on things. Shannon, Darren Geddes. Of course, we've been witness to it. Likewise, some information has come to me in time. For example, the name Jenna Jowdry. This was an honest mistake way back in May. Jenna was not who I saw. It was Emily Ogley. So I want to clear this up. They do have similarities, but photos side by side, which took months. Emily is the young lady. The public can draw its own conclusions. My responsibility has simply been to provide an honest and accurate account of what I witnessed. I also want to address a separate matter. Well, tell me about... Oh, I'm going to have to go pull it up. I'm going to have to go pull it up. Where Brandon detailed to me about witnessing the afternoon on Lansdowne Station Road, where Haley came in and was led right to the discovery of, he was a witness to the discovery of the blanket in the tree that wasn't there earlier in the morning. Good to see you, Lindy.
I stopped and asked Cindy Ward what was going on in this black Honda Civic around 3:30 in the afternoon, because I was heading up to Brother Ron's there about that.
So here he mentions that he wants us to believe that he came and he talked to Cindy Ward as though she was pulled over on the side of Lansdowne Road at 3:30 that afternoon beside that black Honda Civic, who he says is Hayden's.
Black Honda Civic around 3:30 in the afternoon, because I was heading up to Brother Ron's there that afternoon, and I had to go up.
He was heading back up to his brother's Ron's that afternoon. He ran into that black Honda Civic.
I went up there to take the coolness off me, because looking for the kids all that morning. Went to Brother Ron there and had to go and pick up the wife there at 5 o'clock down the stretch.
Talking about him looking for the kids all that morning. Well, all that morning, there wasn't a whole lot of time left in the morning.
There's no way I was up there at 10:30 that morning.
What do you mean there's no way you were up there at 10:30 a.m. that morning? You said you were at fucking Janie's at 10:30. You had to have passed the point before 10:30. So you're being a stickler for the 10:30? She said between 10:30 and 11. How is it you're denying and telling us that you're in the area at that point in time? I'm not confused about it. I'm just sitting here talking about it, pointing it out. Let it speak for itself. Lindy, hello.
Moving up there to take the coolness off me because look for the kids all that morning. Well, my brother's on there and had to go and pick up the weight there at 5 o'clock down the trench. There was no way I was up there at 10:30 that morning talking to no vehicle on the side of the road. Whoever told you that must have been Cindy Warner or somebody else. There's no way I stopped. Cindy Warner told you that. Must have been Cindy Warner.
Who does he mention there? Chrissy Ward? Maybe he can't pronounce Alicia.
That morning talking to no vehicle on the side of the road. Whoever told you that must have been Cindy Warner or somebody else. There's no way I stopped.
Okay.
There's no vehicle on the road that morning. I'm going to my brother on.
Saying that he didn't see any other vehicles that morning on his way up to Ron's. So how could I wonder he say that there was, he's placing himself in the area at that time frame, no matter what way you look at it, because you can look at it on the map. Unless you were hiking through the bush. But he finally comes out with, he's the one who came out with what he believes the tip is. Right? The caller didn't really specify. Actually, Alvin gave us more details about the tip in order to deny it. Nothing shady about that. Oh, shit.
Okay. Now you said something about a black Honda Civic?
Yeah, it was, what the hell? It was, Malaya's stepbrother.
Okay, I'm not sure.
He identified the black Honda Civic as Malaya's stepbrother, who's Hayden.
Is there a name?
Hayden or Hayden? Hayden, isn't it? No. Hayden, I think his name is.
Oh.
There's 2 girls in the car.
Did you?
Like I said, don't give me this information. This better not get back on me. Like I said,
It's so interesting. That's him realizing that he's giving up all kinds of information that could come back to haunt him. Why, if it's the truth? Why would you be afraid of that? What he's saying is that there was 2 girls in the car. He said they stopped and talked to Hayden with 2 girls. Brendan said one of them was Emily Ogley. The other person in the afternoon would have probably been Haley Ferdinand, wouldn't you expect?
Did you?
like I said, don't give me this information. This better not get back on me. Hayden, I think his name is.
Oh.
There's 2 girls in the car.
Hayden, and there's 2 girls in the car. He's remembering some details. It's surprising. Hayden, and there's 2 girls in the car. None of this information better come back on me, meaning that probably those individuals have something to hide as well, that they could get upset and be bothering Alvin because, of course, it's going against the bro code. It's going against the code of silence amongst them all. It's contrary to their statements to the RCMP, aka is they're fucking lying. Makes sense? Makes sense to me. That's your mind recognizing that you're naming names and then immediately want to say none of this information that you're sharing with this person, whoever they are, that you've yet to identify, isn't going to come back and hurt them, Mr. Grouchy Pants. Alvin the Grouch. He's got like a personality like Oscar the Grouch. He's made for TV.
Hayden, I think his name is.
Oh.
There's two girls in the car.
Did you?
Better not, like I said, I'll give you this information. This better not come back on me.
Yeah, I give you this information here. I'll give you this information. This better not come back on me. Oh. Keep talking, baby.
Like I said, I already gave them my report that day.
Like I said, I already gave them my report that day. So he's telling us what he's scared about right there. He's telling us he's afraid of it coming back on him because he's given the RCMP their report and you've just offered up key information that you've otherwise withheld. You've told it in a different way. There's an issue why you're worried about that particular, not that one only, but the information within the phone call to come back and haunt you or hurt you in some way. Otherwise admitting to the fact that he's not telling the truth. This is what is, friends, this is not the truth. You know, it's what he's really admitting to. The statement that he gave the RCMP isn't true in a nutshell. Maybe, you know, he's given him a little bit of information just like he has with us on the phone here, but there's a bit of an issue. It's amazing to me how you can sit there and deny and then talk about being. So just within the morning, you've avoided passing over that place, at least admittedly one. You've went over it that morning at least once to get to your sister's, twice to come back, 3 times to come, a third time to go back and search in the woods, and a 4th time to go back to your brother Ron's. So you've admitted passing the point in question 4 different times, even though you're denying even being on the road. You know, you didn't even know what you were denying at the beginning. You've denied all kinds of fucking things that you volunteered, that weren't asked. So it sounds to me like he's already been questioned on Brendan's account, or questioned or probed further, if you will, that it's already come up in conversation with law enforcement. He's been confronted with it by investigators.
Okay, nope, that's fair. That's fair.
Before Christmas or after Christmas, they called me.
Before Christmas, they called Alvin and talked to him about it. Interesting.
It was before Christmas that I forget his name now, Dan from Halifax.
Dan from Halifax? Are you sure it's not Dylan? I think it's probably Dylan.
It was Dan from Halifax that called me.
Okay.
But there's no way, I'm telling you, right now, my God.
Okay, and that would be Lansdowne Station?
Nobody, I'm not wrong.
Play that again.
But there's no way, I'm telling you, right now.
He's continuing to go on, but there's no way, but there's no way. What else are you going to leak here? I want to get that, what he's denying right in this point.
Actually called me.
Lansdowne Station.
Nobody, I'm not wrong. Whoever
That was cut off.
gave you that information, that was bull.
Whoever gave you that information, that's bull. And I think to him, the person, it's a indirect shot at Brendan's account, in my opinion. Whoever gave you that information. So what would be so dangerous about it? It seems like the approach, like his reaction to what's being asked is off. His reaction and his behavior to whatever it is he's engaged in is off. He's overly defensive, anticipating what he already knows that he's leaked. He already really knows, and he's offering up volunteering more information than has been presented to him. So he's eager to deny, and at the same time equally concerned about the information that he's detailed coming back and hurting him, whether it be from law enforcement or the other individuals that are involved.
Okay, and that would be Lansdowne Station.
Nobody, I'm not wrong. Whoever gave you that information, that was bull.
Okay.
It was Cindy Ward. I'd like to press charges against her.
If it was Cindy Ward, I'd like to press charges against her. That really tells you, and he's leaking that he thinks the person on the phone is law enforcement. You know, it gives you a window in to just how easy it is to fucking lie to these people and get places. They're more than willing to engage in the conversation. It shows you what they do to one another, how they lead their daily lives. What a kerfuffle. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Johnny Freakboy. Cindy Ward. So now it seems whoever this Cindy Ward is, related to the bus driver, he's got a hard on. He doesn't like her very much. He wants to press charges. For what? Maybe this Cindy Ward's being used in the background as a scapegoat for Darren in his antics. Something tells me that Darren is trying to get at Alvin, influence him in that way. Behind the scenes. Well, why wouldn't he be?
Lansdowne Station.
Nobody, I'm not wrong. Whoever gave you that information, that was bull.
Okay.
It was Cindy Ward. I'd like to press charges against her. And she's the one that's dragging my friggin' name through the...
She's the one stringing my name through the mud. The Cindy Ward. Sounds like somebody's using Alvin as a scapegoat, or he's perceiving it that way. So something's going on in the background. And it probably isn't accurate. There's a good possibility that Cindy Ward is being, it's like as easy as telling Alvin, like when Durwood or Darren calls him up to say and use this Cindy Ward as a scapegoat for whatever reason you're engaging and influencing this person. And, Alvin is susceptible to propaganda in that sense. He'll probably believe whatever you tell him, especially when it comes to the circumstance.
Well, I'm very sorry to hear that, sir. My job is just to clear up the tips, that's all.
It was 7 months. 7 months since those kids were mentioned that my name is all over the spring.
It's 7 months. He says it's 7 months. And my name is all over this. He's pissed off about what? So he's leading on like he's bought into the fact that this caller, even though they haven't identified themselves as law enforcement, as being law enforcement, and then As soon as he vocalizes that and he gauges the response, he's even more trusting, and he opens up further about his feelings to the person verifying tips.
Sorry to hear that, sir. My job is just to clear up the tips, that's all.
It was 7 months. 7 months.
So 7 months. 7 months.
Those kids went missing.
Since those kids went missing.
My name is all over the friggin' what do you call it?
My name is all over this friggin', what do you call it, this Facebook.
I want to be left alone.
He just wants to be left alone. That's just what Janie says too. Well, too bad, motherfuckers. Stop lying. Stop giving us reasons to dig deeper. Fess up. Full admission. Confess.
Okay.
I just want to be left alone. I didn't even know it's mad and to be honest with you. The first time I liked those kids, to be honest with you, man.
It's the first time, to be honest with you, man. First time I ever laid eyes on those kids was that day, and he means through pictures, seeing their pictures on May the 2nd. That was the first time he's ever seen Jack and Lily.
Okay.
I just want to be left alone. I didn't even know it's mad and to be honest with you. The first time I liked those kids, to be honest with you, man. It's the day I went down with my brother Mark, and I was to search for them.
First time he laid eyes on the man was when he went down with his brother Ron to search for them. You said you were down there at 10:30, right? Well, that's interesting. You would have had to have passed over the exact spot. Fucking guy.
That's the first time. The only reason why I didn't go down and visit my sister, because I don't like the little, my sister's son, because he's a conniving little. I don't like the little, my sister, man. It's the day I went down with my brother Mark, and I was to search for him. That's the first time. The only reason why I didn't go down and visit my sister, because I don't like the little.
The only reason he doesn't go down and visit his sister is he doesn't like his sister's son. He's a conniving little so-and-so. Cuts off.
My sister's son, because he's a conniving little. I never laid eyes on those kids in my life.
I never laid eyes on those kids in my life.
May 2nd, the first time I ever laid eyes on those kids. The pictures of them.
May 2nd is the first time you ever laid eyes on those kids. Picture of them.
Okay. Okay, well,
I swear in the Bible, there's nobody on that road at 10:30 in the morning.
I swear on the Bible, there is nobody on that road at 10:30 in the morning. Again. Thanks for the statement, but nobody was alleging that there was at 10:30 in the morning necessarily. So it's interesting how Alvin can detail like two people being in the car with Hayden and the color of the car. Detail all of these events, but not recognize that he was there and in the area at the time. It signaled that he's purposefully skipping over, leaving that part out. But how was I going to say? I forgot now, friends. My apologies. Must have been lying. Must have been lying.
That I stopped talking to. I don't know who the hell.
okay, well,
I swear in the Bible, there's nobody on that road at 10:30 in the morning that I stopped talking to. I don't know who the hell gave you back.
Yeah, nobody's saying that there was.
Can't trust nobody these days. And to be honest with you, I wasn't born to be a liar.
Yep.
That's one thing. I was not born to be a liar, and I can guarantee right now.
Yeah, you weren't born to be a liar. Thanks for the leaks. sounds like, now bear with me, friends. Yeah, selective memory meep. Sounds like he's hiding something from his wife too. You know, he's incorporated, he refers to his wife as mom. Not saying that there's any, in isolation, necessarily anything wrong with anything, but it seems to me he's incorporating certain things in with what he's told his wife. So there's a reason for that in my mind, especially knowing the allegations in which he's denying. Which, actually, there's probably a better way to phrase that. He doesn't even know the allegation that he's denying. Wait, says Annie, are you okay? Did he say that there was no one there at 10:30? He said he didn't see anyone, so he was on the road. He doesn't deny being on the road. No. Well, yeah, he does deny being on the road, but he places himself there at the same time. At his brother Ron's place, like I said, he's passed over the spot in question where Brendan witnessed Emily run out of the woods into the car, and where he was talking to Alvin directly, according to him, 4 different times while he was still denying it. You would have had to go over there 4 separate times because you placed yourself at Gairloch Road and you would have went over there first thing at 10:30. Then you go back. Then for whatever reason, you place yourself there again within the hour. So between Ron's house and Gairloch Road is the area in question. He's not clarifying. He's just staunchly denying. Like, for example, he doesn't have the map up. He's betting on, I shouldn't say that. It's like he's taking advantage of the person not knowing where Ron lives at that point in time. He was at his brother's Ron. If you didn't know where Ron lived, you would take him and it would go right over your head. You might not even pick it out how ridiculous that is because Ron lives just meters away from the area in question directly. So Ron's house is in the area at the scene. Yes, corroborated. You didn't need him to admit it to corroborate it, though. That isn't the point. He's pretending as though you do. If he admits to it, then he would corroborate it. But he doesn't. But then in his language, in his description, he goes on to meet that threshold of what corroboration would be, right? Confusing, I know, but the whole fucking call is confusing. In many circumstances, a phone call or recording of someone talking about an investigation can be used as evidence or contribute to reasonable grounds, which is the Canadian equivalent to probable cause. In Canada, including Nova Scotia, friends, however, important legal limits and requirements apply. The legality of making the recording is as follows. Canada follows a one-party consent rule under the Criminal Code, Section 184, Subrule 2A. If you are a participant in the conversation, or one-party consents, you may lawfully record it without the knowledge or consent of the other persons. This applies to phone calls, in-person talks, video calls, etc. It is a criminal offense to intercept, record, or listen to a private communication that you are not a party to. That's Section 184, Subrule 1. Doing so can result in charges and usually makes the recording inadmissible. So let me in a nutshell say that there's enough probable cause here to run and get a warrant for running surveillance on everybody in this fucking circle. Bingo bango. And that's publicly to us. We can say that. They don't have to admit to it. They're not going to admit to it so you can feel satisfied in your own mind at night. We don't need that. We just verified it through our layman's eyes. So police require judicial authorization, like a wiretap warrant, for most non-consensual interceptions. Civilian one-party recordings do not need court authorization. And the fact that he brought up an individual with the last name Warren would be significant to police. Ward, excuse me. Let's see. A lawfully made recording. We're talking about the use as evidence in court. A lawfully made recording, one-party consent, can generally be admitted as evidence if it meets standard rules of evidence. It must be relevant. It must be properly authenticated, shown to be genuine, unaltered recording of the conversation claimed. Hearsay rules apply. Statements by an accused person can often be admitted as party admissions. Other statements may require an exception. Example, res gestae. Res gestae, it's something Latin. Principled exception for necessity and reliability. Even a lawful recording can be excluded under Chapter Section 24, Subrule 2, if its admission would bring the administration of justice into disrepute. Citing the R.V. Grant test. Courts scrutinize... let's say it like this. Courts scrutinize recordings carefully, especially in some contexts, example family law, but in criminal cases, they are frequently admitted when relevant and reliable. So, going on to use for reasonable grounds, search warrants and arrests. Information from a phone call or recording can form part of the basis for reasonable grounds, which is reasonable and probable grounds under the Criminal Code and Charter, Section 8. Police and justices assessing an information to obtain an ITO, a search warrant, look at the totality of the circumstances, citing R.V. Debeau v. Geographic. 3 following points. Is the information compelling, detailed, specific? Is the source credible? Is there corroboration? A recording or a reliable account of what was said can supply or strengthen those grounds, especially if it contains admissions, details about evidence, or other concrete facts, Alvin. Anonymous or uncorroborated tips alone are usually insufficient. Quality and corroboration matter. That's why that phone call is icing on the cake in this situation. Nova Scotia applies the Federal Criminal Code and Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. There is no unique provincial rule that changes the one-party consent standard or the basic principles of reasonable grounds and evidence admissibility for criminal investigations. Provincial court practice follows the same national framework. Corbin saying, "This case has made me so angry, especially when it comes to precious children that were neglected so bad that they were starving, never had proper clothing. They need to be locked up." Yeah. Yes, friends, I'm going to wind it down right now at 2 hours. You should go have dinner at 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern Daylight Savings Time. And hopefully Mike and Anita get on later on tonight and pick up the conversation where they left off. You don't necessarily need those screenshots. You're on the right track and you've got every right to be talking about the factors that we're looking at here in this case with Jack and Lily. All of the indicators are there. What isn't a factor in this? All of the traditional factors. Poor Jack and Lily, you can consider them unwanted and unloved. That breaks my heart. And they were being exploited, and they're still being exploited by this group of fucking perverts and child exploiters. And you're getting a taste of the horrendous home life that poor Jack and Lily had to suffer through. And you can get a lot from just the charges that Daniel is up against in court. Next court date is September 3rd. I'm talking about the SA, the assault, and the forcible confinement. I had a whole detail of stuff that I wanted to go through, but I'll save it till the next, my next live or next video. But I will end with talking about toxic stress in children and the effects on a 3 to 5 year old in a house where sexual assaults and forcible confinement occur. I talk about the psychological and emotional effects. There's elevated rates of post-traumatic stress symptoms. Studies using age-appropriate criteria indicate that a substantial proportion of preschoolers, and in some samples approaching or exceeding 50%, show clinically significant PTSD symptoms after chronic exposure to household violence. Intense fear, anxiety, hypervigilance, and a heightened sense of threat. Children may become overly attentive to signals of danger. There's depressive symptoms, low self-esteem, emotional distress, and difficulty regulating their emotions. Feelings of helplessness are that the world is unsafe because primary caregivers are either perpetrators or unable to protect them. There's behavioral effects. Things such as externalizing problems, aggression towards siblings, peers, or adults, irritability, outbursts, internalizing problems, withdrawal, clinginess, excessive fear of strangers or separation. Regressive behaviors, common at this age, are renewed thumb-sucking, bedwetting, baby talk, or other developmental setbacks. Sleep disturbance, including nightmares, insomnia, night terrors, or difficulty falling or staying asleep. Changes in play. They're more aggressive, chaotic, or even withdrawn play themes. There's cognitive and developmental effects, measurable impacts on cognitive functioning, including lower verbal ability and overall IQ scores compared with non-exposed peers. Some studies report average differences of several points. Difficulties with attention, memory, and executive functioning, which are skills needed for planning, impulse control, and problem solving. Delayed or disrupted language and social skill development. Poor readiness for school entry. There's also social and attachment effects. Disrupted or insecure attachment to caregivers. Reduced empathy, cooperation, and ability to form healthy peer relationships. A wariness of adults and challenges interpreting social cues, especially around conflict. The physical and somatic effects. Frequent unexplained physical complaints like stomach aches and headaches. Sleep problems that affect overall health and energy. In severe or prolonged cases, toxic stress responses that can influence brain architecture, stress hormone symptoms from the HPA axis, and later physical health risks. The combination of SA, even when directed at another person, physical assaults, and forcible confinement compounds the trauma. Confinement introduces elements of captivity, unpredictability, and powerlessness that intensify fear and helplessness. Chronic exposure is generally more damaging than isolated incidents. Outcomes vary by factors such as the child's temperament, the presence of any protective adult, the duration and severity of the violence, and whether the child also experiences direct abuse or neglect. Longer-term risks if unaddressed. Without intervention, early exposure is linked to higher rates of ongoing mental health difficulties, academic underachievement, relationship problems, and elevated risk of later victimization or perpetration of violence. Early support, however, can significantly mitigate these trajectories. Important. Individual children respond differently. Some show resilience, especially with timely safety, stable caregiving, and professional help. These effects are not inevitable permanent damage. Trauma-informed therapy, safe placement, and supportive environments can promote recovery. Toxic stress in children is the prolonged, intense activation of the body's stress response systems in the absence of adequate buffering support from a caring adult. It is one of the 3 recognized categories of stress response, which are positive, tolerable, and toxic, developed by researchers at the Center on the Developing Child at Harvard University and widely adopted in pediatrics and child development. Unless you're Malaya, you just blame it all on autism, don't you, darling? The 3 types of stress responses, there's positive stress, which is brief, mild to moderate stress. For examples, a first day at daycare or vaccination. With supportive caregiving, it helps build healthy ongoing skills and resilience. There's tolerable stress, more significant or longer lasting stress. For example, loss of a loved one, a natural disaster, or temporary family conflict. When a child has consistent responsive adult support, the stress response can return to baseline and the experience can still be adaptive. Toxic stress is as follows: is the strong and frequent or prolonged activation of the stress system, which is the fight or flight. Without sufficient protective adult relationships, common triggers include chronic abuse, neglect, household violence, including assaults, physical assaults, and confinement, severe parental mental illness or substance use, or extreme poverty without support. What happens biologically? When a child experiences toxic stress, stress hormones such as cortisol and adrenaline remain elevated for an extended period. In a developing brain, this can disrupt the architecture of key brain regions involved in emotional regulation, learning, memory, and executive function. In your prefrontal cortex, hippocampus, alter the Whoa, hold on, guys. I'm going to have to fucking take a practice run at this one. After the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal HPA axis and immune system. Holy shit. Thank God I'm not a doctor. Increase inflammation and affect other organ symptoms. Produce epigenetic changes that influence how genes related to stress regulation are expressed. These biological changes can help explain why children exposed to toxic stress often show the development, emotional, behavioral, and cognitive difficulties described in research on household violence. The observable effects in young children, including ages 3 to 5, heightened anxiety, hypervigilance or emotional reactivity, throwing boots, sleep and appetite disturbances, aggression or withdrawal, difficulty with attention, self-regulation, and learning. All things Malaya loves to admit to, but blames it on possible autism as opposed to what's really going on, considering the fucking level of neglect and abuse about. Difficulty with attention, self-regulation, and learning. Physical symptoms, frequent illness, somatic complaints, and regression in development milestones. Toxic stress is not simply being stressed. It is the combination of severe adversity plus the lack of reliable, responsive caregiving that turns stress into a biologically harmful process. The same adversity experienced with strong, consistent adult support is far less likely to become toxic. Early intervention, removing the child from ongoing danger, providing stable and nurturing relationships, and offering trauma-informed support can reduce or reverse many of the effects. The brain remains plastic, especially in the early years, so recovery is possible. In short, toxic stress describes how chronic unsupported adversity can literally shape a child's developing brain and body in ways that increase lifelong risks for physical and mental health problems, while also underscoring the protective relationships are the most powerful buffer. Oh, my friends, I will leave it there and I'll see you guys back again tomorrow. God bless.